Hey YouTube, it's Jacob here and we're bringing you another one. Listen, go and watch yourself some Little Mermaid. That's it. I could just shut the whole stream down. We don't even need to. What we need to do the whole thing for? What we need to do the whole thing for? Go on ahead and watch yourself a little bit of Little Mermaid. A little bit. It was really good. And we're gonna work our way. We're gonna work our way through the Little Mermaid. So you can see just before we get started, I set up a little thing on the left. Okay, I'm trying to get my hand in. There we go. On the left here to kind of give you a little guide on where we are. Okay, just to give you a little guide. Let me just check my sound because you know we like playing games. Okay, things is working. Okay, this is indeed. Okay. Look, see, I don't even know how to do my own thing. This is a non-spoiler review, okay? So I'm not here to spoil nothing. I'm going to try my best to avoid any, like, you know, things that are new in the movie without, you know, giving too much away. Okay, so this is a non-spoiler review, okay? Just keep that in mind. So don't be trying to get no extra stuff. If you want some extra stuff, go on ahead and watch the extra stuff, okay? Before we get started, if you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you, okay? Now, you know I had to prepare my cards now, and I got my cards. I got my cards now, all right? So let's get these things going. So what's the vibe? So as you can see on the left here, pretty much most of these things I'm going to hit every movie, and then there's some like changes per movie, but I always like to let you know what the vibes are. What is the vibes of this movie? So you got the Pirates of the Caribbean meets the Cinderella Brandy meets Oz Great and Powerful. So it has this like feeling, and you'll see later on why Pirates of the Caribbean makes sense, which I didn't know, but it has that vibe. It really does have that vibe. Now, should you go on ahead and see this in the theaters? Yes, not a question. Yes, go and see it in theaters. Should you see it in IMAX? So I actually was like, no, I gotta see this in IMAX. Not a question. You know what? As much as I'm saying yes, go see it in theater, and yes, go see it in IMAX, I'm actually more looking forward to seeing it on a smaller screen, only because it was actually so much that it was almost too big to watch. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather watch it on like a TV screen or a phone because then you could really soak in the whole thing. But I felt like it was almost too big. And I wasn't like sitting close on the screen. I was like back. So it was almost too big. Ray said, yes, Pirates of the Caribbean. And Brandy, that's what it felt like. Especially, you'll see it later on. A particular character was like, okay, you guys did that on purpose. But it felt perfect. So you'll see a little bit later on. So let's get into the fact of, do you need to see the previous Little Mermaid to watch this Little Mermaid? Yes and no. If you want to be punched in the face with nostalgia, then you should already done seen the animated one. But go watch the animated one and then you'll be like, wow, look at all the similarities. But if you've never seen the animated one, this is such a great introduction to the story. A new story, new version of the story, because they didn't hold on to all the same things because, you know, it's 2023, you know, anything in the past is wrong. So they had to update it. You know what I mean? What was the favorite song during the film scene and soundtrack? I will tell you later on because I have a music section. You see music, and I'll tell you what my favorite song was a little later on. Okay, so let's get into the cast. First, we'll start with the director. So now y'all know I'm not good with names now. You know I'm not good with names, so just bear with me through this whole section. Okay. So the director is Rob Marshall. I do know that one. That's easy. So come to find out, because I was like, well, what did he direct in the past? He directed Into the Woods, which I loved. I have a whole love-hate. Well, it's a love on my end, but people are mad at me about this movie. It's a whole story. I don't feel like getting into it. Okay, anyway, so he did that. He did Chicago, which I have a love for. Okay, I didn't know he did Chicago. He did the new Mary Poppins, which was really good. And he did one of the Pirates. I don't think he did all the Pirates of the Caribbean, but anyway, he did one of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Who also did CI? I don't know what CI is. Oh, I meant Cinderella. He also did Cinderella. Did he? Because I didn't see that. Or you're saying who did it? I'm not sure if that was a question or you're saying he did. But anyway, if he did, then they all make sense. But if not, so he did these movies, and then I was like, well, who's the writer? So the writer is, I got it over here, David McGee. And he wrote the Mary Poppins. So I'm like, okay, so they already kind of worked together. He did Life of Pi, which was a phenomenal story and movie. Okay. And then he also did the new movie that just came out on Netflix, The School of Good and Evil, which was also shockingly good. I knew I wanted to see it because I'm like, this is up my alley, the magical, fantasy type of world. But I didn't know if it was going to really be good, but it was shockingly good. I seen advertisement all throughout the city in New York. I'm like, oh, it must be good. He must have put a lot of money behind it. And it actually was really good. So I think he has a good track record. And then here he is writing the new Little Mermaid. So that was definitely a refreshing thing to see. So let's get into some of these characters. So let's start with the sensational Halle Bailey playing the Little Mermaid. She did a phenomenal job. She did a phenomenal job when she was speaking, when she was singing, and when she wasn't speaking. At first, I was worried. I'm like, is she going to do a good job with her facial expressions and her body language and all that stuff? And I think she actually did fantastic. She did absolutely fantastic. Now, let's go on to one of my favorite characters. Melissa McCarthy killed Ursula. She didn't kill Ursula. Someone else killed Ursula, but she killed the role. And first of all, I love Melissa McCarthy. I felt like she's like one of those underrated comedians. I think she's hilarious. I think all her movies are great, but nobody be really talking about it like that. But I hope this is the changing point for her. I hope that people start talking about Melissa McCarthy, because she really did the role, and she really killed Poor Unfortunate Souls, because I know that's a big number and she's not a singer. For someone to not be a singer, she really embodied that character and that role and that song very, very, very well. Okay, now let's go on to Prince Eric, played by, now this is where I'm going to have a struggle now, Jonah, Hera King? Okay, let's just stop there. Jonah, that's his name. Okay. He did a good job. Usually, there's only a few princes. I feel like the golden age, the Renaissance age of Disney, not the golden age, the Renaissance age of Disney, the prince was kind of pushed to the side until we got Aladdin, and then he was kind of like the star. And then after that, we started seeing more princes with personality. But Prince Eric, the animated version, really didn't have much personality. But this guy played a really good role as the Prince Eric, and really played a good, like you recognized him, you connected with him. Whereas sometimes you'd be like, who is this guy? But he did a really good job as Prince Eric. He really brought that character forward. Okay, now let's talk about the animated characters. Let's start with Flounder. Flounder was my least favorite. He looked pretty cool. I mean, he looked like a fish. Nothing really unique there. But it just wasn't... In the animation, Flounder felt like her friend, right? Her right-hand man. He just felt like a fish that she knew. I don't know. It wasn't really the best. The voice acting was good. Played by... What's his name? Jacob Tremblay. Y'all know I don't know names. Tremblay? I think that's right. So I'm like, okay. He did a good job, but whatever. However, Scuttle, played by Aquafina. I didn't have to look up that name because I've heard her name a few times. I quite enjoy her. Really good job. The animation was good. There's a scene... I don't think this is really a spoiler, but there's a scene when you first see the character that you're like, well, why'd you make that decision? But visually, it was gorgeous. Visually, it was like, I see why you made that decision. But just logically, it was like, this is kind of odd. And you'll see what I mean when you first see Scuttle, when they first introduced the character. It was a little odd. It makes sense logically. It just was odd because that's not how we normally recognize it. But it all adds up. But the best character, hands down, in the whole movie is Sebastian, played by David Diggs. And let me tell you something. Sebastian has always been one of the best characters in the movie, but I was worried at first that the style is a little different, and I don't know how the accent. He embodied this character. He really killed this character so well. Like, he did so well with this character. You really believe that there's a crab going around all over the place. The animation of the movement of how he would swim, like the way they did his legs, and it was great how he walked. They would have funny moments where he's like on a rock and then you just see him walk sideways on the rock. Like, it just was so natural. And I would say there was shots of the three characters where it just was just them on the screen, and it was so vivid in this IMAX, big, silver screen type of moment. It was like they knew they did a good job animating those characters, and I really, really, really love that. Okay, now let's talk about King Triton, played by, we're about to have another issue, Javier Bardem. Maybe that wasn't too bad. Okay, he did a good job too. He definitely felt like a father. He didn't feel like, he felt like he fit perfectly in this space. He felt like that's Ariel's dad. The passion, the concern, the anger, the frustration, all that you would get from a father, a king on top of that. It was definitely great. But I think the best thing was the hair and his beard. Because I was just kept staring at his beard. I'm like, how did they animate this thing? Like, wow. Like, it really looked really, 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 really good. Every time he moved and just the way it looked in the water. Oh, wow. The technology it's just absolutely amazing. And then a pleasant surprise, and this is not really a spoiler, but basically this is King Eric's mom. So that's why I'm like, it gave me Cinderella vibes, because here's this queen, this black, beautiful queen that you just didn't expect. Because I think in the movie, Prince Eric we didn't see any parents. I don't know if they were alive, whatever. But here it was a great juxtaposition of Ariel and Eric having the opposites. Ariel having only her dad and her mom pass, and then Eric only having his mom and his dad pass. That was just such a good combo. And then the black and white, he's Hispanic, but having those different cultures was just really, really, really beautiful. And I love that. They did explain it. However, I was just talking to a friend, Brandy Cinderella, they did not explain how Prince Charming was Asian, his mom is black, and his dad is white. They did not explain. You just believed that is the nature of how life works, because that is not how it works. But it worked in this movie. It worked somehow. So I love that. And then I think that's the last. So let's talk about the villain. So we all know the villain's Ursula, but really the villain is Ursula and the parents. So Ursula's like the big villain. There's a chart of the 15 villains in films, like different type of villains. And Ursula, if I can remember correctly, Ursula serves as like the beast or the personification of evil. So there's like personifications of evil. She would be that, or she's the beast, right? But the parents are a different type of villain, because they are the ones stopping the protagonist from being the full selves. So they are also villains in a different way. They love the protagonist, but they are problematic because they are the parents that are stopping the source. So I love that. I love that concept that it's not just Ursula that's the problem. It's these two parents in both worlds that is also the problem. Okay, then I like to do, what is the message? I think the core message in this film is, don't let the world stop you from achieving your dreams, right? So if you want to do something, you have to fight to do it, no matter who's stopping you, no matter who's in your way. Because no matter what, whether you're right or wrong, because Ariel made some really stupid, silly decisions. Okay? Really dumb decisions. But at the end of the day, it's her life to make those decisions, right? So no one can stop her from making it, whether it turns out good, whether it turns out bad. It's her life. So she has to make that type of decision. And I think that was a good message of, at the end of the day, you got to make your own decisions in your life. And when they're bad, that's your fault. But when they're good, you get to feel the accomplishment of your own choices. So I think that's the overall overall message. And I don't think it was just for Ariel. That message stood also for Eric, because they both had that same drive and fight to yearn for their own dream. And one thing I love, this is a good moment to talk about it. Of course, we all know the movie was about love and them falling in love and got to get a kiss for this curse and blah, blah, blah. And that was still in the movie, but that was not the main focus. And I'm glad they kind of pulled that away a little bit, because it's 2023. You know, let's get with the program. Okay. Now let's talk about the music. Okay. So first of all, the original songs all were pretty much the same, just a little bit elevated. Like, it was just a little bit more cinematic, just a little bit more dramatized. You know, all the big numbers were just pushed a little bit further, but it didn't feel like they changed anything. But they did add 3 new songs. Now, usually I don't like that. I don't like when they add new songs, because it just feels out of place and it doesn't fit. But I will tell you, and I will assure to you, these 3 added songs are delicious. They're really shockingly good. The worst song out of all the songs is Prince Eric's song. And that song is really, really, really good. Like, usually the Prince song or the extra song is like kind of corny. I was like, this song is going in. He's really killing it. It was really, really good. And then there's a song with Scuttle. It's a rap. And at first I was a little worried because I heard that it was going to be in here. That might be the best song in the whole movie. That might be the best song in the whole movie. Yeah. So I can't wait till that becomes a thing in social media, because it's going to be a thing. And Scuttle, that was a fun song. That was a very fun song. Okay. All right. Cinematography. Beautiful cinematography, beautiful lighting and colors and textures. The camera angles were very whimsical. That's what made me think of Oz Great and Powerful. If you've seen that movie, the way they played with the camera in Oz, it was just really, you know, flipping around and upside down and all that. But they're underwater, so they had to play with that, and I thought that was such a great choice for this film. Let's talk about the animation and CGI. Oh, this card is out of order. Oh, no, this was cinematography. Okay, and this was... Oh, the music. Okay, I get it. So this was the cinematography, and this is the animation CGI. We've come a long way in technology. You know, this is one of those movies that was like, it's no way we could have did this movie any other time, because we just wouldn't have had the technology to give it what it needed to have. And now that we have the technology, this is just like, it's breathtaking. Now, don't get me wrong now. Avatar, everybody was comparing it to Avatar because Avatar just did an underwater situation. Avatar was unmatched. There's nothing I've ever seen like that yet. It's just unmatched. But he spent $2 billion, so okay, it better have been unmatched. This, however, although I don't think they spent $2 billion, it was still very, very, very well done. There's some moments where I'm like, but I think because I have the eye for it, it was like that. But other than that, absolutely beautiful. Ursula's, just the way they did her body, her movement, her tentacles, might be the best part of the whole situation. Oh, so good. So good. And then because of Melissa McCarthy's acting and personality, it really added to that. So I love that. Okay, so let's talk about the world design. I love world design. It's one of my favorite things. I wish I did more of it in my own personal design. Every time I try to do it, I don't know, I slip up. But it's because I like to do it in 3D, and then drawing it is just too much. But anyway, I don't have a good picture of the underworld under the King Triton's kingdom. It does not look like this. That was my only thing I didn't like. It doesn't have this majestic, magical look like this. This was the animated version. It looks good. It makes sense, but it doesn't feel as majestic, magical like this did. However, I did think the Prince Eric castle, although it's not as magical as this, was still very architecturally beautiful. It felt like a castle that's near the ocean. Like it was very ocean themed. It looked like a resort, a beautiful ocean themed resort. It was a very beautiful castle the way they designed it. But I think the most beautiful thing, the thing that I actually didn't think I was going to like, was the village. The village was very well thought of, very beautiful, very beachy. And it was like, oh, I like this. I'm glad they were able to go into the town and experience that, because I was kind of like dreading it at first. And then I was like, oh, this is such a great choice. Really, really good. Okay, the costume design, I don't think they're going to win any awards because there wasn't much going on there. Although it was very beautiful, it just was very beachy and it didn't feel much different. Don't worry, the pink dress is there. It's just not the way we remembered it and not placed where it was placed. But it's there. The pink dress is there. And there is no end credit. I wasn't able to stay all the way to the end, but I did research it and look it up. It says there's no end credits or anything like that, which I didn't expect there to be, but this is not Marvel, okay? But I was like, is there one? And I was like, I gotta go because I didn't have much time when I saw it. So I just went on ahead, researched it, found out that there isn't one. If there is one and I was wrong, please let me know. I would like to know. Okay. A second movie. I don't know if they plan on it or not. Should they make one? It would be nice. It would be nice to see what happens next. It's not necessary, but I actually don't want a second movie. I want a prequel. I want to know why Ursula is Ursula and why Triton is Triton. I want to know their family situation. I want to know what happened. Why did she get cast out for 15 years? What's going on? I want to know that. That's the movie I want to see. So if they could do a prequel, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Okay? Absolutely phenomenal. Now, what is the conclusion? Go see this movie. It's not just beautiful that it's this black woman playing such an iconic princess that we all recognize. She might be one of the most popular. I think Ariel is, besides maybe Cinderella's number one because it's on the top of everyone's tongue. But I think Ariel might be the second most popular Disney princess and is played by this wonderful black woman and who just embodied the character perfectly. You did not have any question in your mind that that was not Ariel. It was so good. It was so good. I did get a little teary-eyed at the end, but I didn't cry. Okay. Usually I cry. This one didn't get me, but my eyes was wet. They was wet. My eyes was wet. It was very, very, very beautiful movie. Absolutely beautiful movie. I'm definitely going to be going live again soon. Let me get this on. I got my A-list, so I'm going to see all the movies. Next week is Spider-Man week. I'm going to be going to see Miles Morales maybe Thursday, hopefully, or Wednesday, Thursday. I can't remember the date. So I'm going to go as early as I can possibly go so I can get that review back to you guys. I'm very excited to see that. Okay. And stay tuned. I got a lot of tutorials and things that are coming soon. I just have to prepare them, but they're coming. I know a lot of you guys asked about that. Like, are you doing tutorials, all that stuff? Absolutely. I'm just in prep mode. If you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button. We're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. That's it. That's all I got.
I admit that in the past I've been a nasty. They weren't kidding when they called me a witch.
What are you doing? I know you're not about to leave. It's mad buttons down there. You ain't pushed on one of them. You better subscribe to my channel. See you soon.
And dear lady, please don't laugh. I use it on behalf of the miserable, lonely, and depressed.